The purpose of this study is to see if the program IXL will improve test scores and motivation in the middle school math classroom. My first and fourth hour classes comprised of 55 students, along with my fourth hour class from last year comprised of 25 students will participate in this study. The reason my fourth hour class from last year is being involved is to gather data from a class that did not use IXL. I will look at the MAP score averages to determine a baseline for all classes. Then I will look at the test averages on identical tests to see what all classes did without IXL to reinforce the baseline. I will then implement my IXL in my first and fourth hour classes for a new unit and compare test averages to my fourth hour class from last year to see what the effects of IXL had on my classes for this year. I will assess student motivation with a survey, and this is a non-equivalent control group design. So the research-based support for change shows that 58% of principals have implemented technology into the classroom. So there is a strong push for technology in every single building across America, and it's being reinforced by the principals. 63% of students in grades 6 through 12 actually prefer a blended learning environment. So the majority of students are wanting to do things with technology in their classroom, and we need to let that happen. Students are actually so tied to their phones that 38% of all students report that they cannot go longer than 10 minutes without checking their tablet, phone, or laptop. So the more we can get that technology in their hands and working in our favor, the better. It's going to help increase a lot of different types of things like motivation and their willingness to do work in the classroom. Technology is going to increase motivation with the students. That has been proven. And for students with mathematical deficiencies, routine drill and practice has the greatest positive effect on students. So I know we all hated those times tables and the math minutes back in the day to learn our multiplication skills, but that really is proven to help with students who have mathematical difficulties. My data collection plan, the people participating in this will be my first and fourth hour classes this year, composed of 55 students. My math class last year is there to establish a baseline, which composed of 25 students. I will then check the MAP scores so that I can establish a baseline to show that this year's class is not significantly smarter than last year's or vice versa. And I will show that without IXL, the moving straight ahead test, the very first unit test we took, will also reinforce that baseline. I will then implement IXL in this year's classes and compare those with the next unit test, shapes and designs. To measure their motivation, students will be given a Google Doc survey that I have created. And the materials for this will be computers. We have Chromebooks at our school, so we can check those out and use those. That is what they will complete IXL on. The tests that I will give out and surveys, and then anything else they would need in the typical math classroom. So after implementing IXL, or before implementing IXL, I looked at the MAP average from 2017, 2018. That was last year's MAP average. And they were higher than this year's by about 2.4 points. So last year's math class would, according to MAP scores, they would be achieving higher. And that was reinforced by the moving straight ahead unit test with a 92.6% average and an 89.9% average. So about 2.7 points higher last year's math classes scored. I then went on to implement IXL for the entire unit, and after we took a unit test, I compared it with last year's unit test. This year's classes scored a 93.8%, while last year's classes on average only scored an 88.6%. So that is a difference of about 5.2%. So they went from scoring lower by about 2.5%, and now they are now scoring higher by more than 5%. So you can see that's a very strong increase there. In my survey, I measured multiple things, not just motivation, so I included all those results. My project only focuses on the motivation piece. So, with the motivation piece, you can see right here that a little under 20% of students are less motivated now with the implementation of IXL. That means about 80% of students here, 80% of students saw either no change or a positive change in their motivation. Students with confidence in math, we can see that it is less than 10%. This bar right here is 10%. Less than 10% feel that they have less confidence in math. So we are making confidence improvements with the implementation of IXL. It does not have a huge positive effect with students actually liking the content. 30% say they still dislike math. The effort right here, about a little more than 12% of students, or a little more than 10% of students try harder now. And my favorite one right here is the understanding the material, which I feel is most important. This red right here actually represents only one student. One student reported that they felt that they understood the material less. Everybody else either understood the material the same or more. And you can see that indicated here with this very positive green bar, and then even more with the purple up here with the strongly agree. The analysis of the project outcomes, I felt that the results for the academic achievement were very favorable. Only one student felt that IXL did not increase their motivation, did not increase their understanding of the content. And only 4 students felt less confident in math. I do feel that the results for the motivation could increase because, like I said, just under 20% felt that IXL made their motivation decrease, but I still feel like we could increase that even more. So to do that, I'm going to move towards more blended learning because I feel like that 20%, they could interact better with a paper and pencil or interactable assignments and different things like that. And that's what I should be moving towards so I can reach all students. So I will still implement IXL in my class, but I will try and blend that in with other types of learning to motivate all students. Where do I want to take this in the future? I specifically want to work with the 6th grade math teachers at our school to blend IXL into their content. They normally come to us in 7th grade with a fraction deficiency and an integer deficiency. And since drill and practice has been proven to increase student achievement with students with math deficiencies, I feel like all those multiple problems with fractions and integers will really help reinforce those skills. I also want to work with the 7th grade ELA teachers and help them integrate IXL into their curriculum because they have to differentiate a significant amount more than other contents at the grade. When they get to 7th grade, a lot of students have different English abilities, and that really shows in 7th grade more than any other grade. And I feel that with IXL, that can help them differentiate for their high needs and their low needs. And lastly, wherever I'm going, I will try to acquire a building IXL license so that every single content can benefit from it. Spanish, ELA, social studies, science, math, they can all use IXL to benefit because it has been proven to work. Thank you very much for your time. I hope I have swayed your opinion on IXL. I feel that it is a very strong tool that we can use in the classroom, and it really helps students achieve more.